So, when you think of Sherlock Holmes, what comes to mind? Probably the cap, the pipe, right? But for this, we're gonna look past all that, past the icon, and get right into the mind itself. We're going to treat Holmes not just as some fictional character, but as an operating system, an incredible intellect that is absolutely worth taking apart to see how it works. Let's dive in.
You know, his best friend, the guy who wrote everything down, Dr. Watson, he didn't just see him as a smart guy, he called him a machine. A perfect, flawless machine for reasoning and observing. That's our starting point. And wow, that's a pretty intense description, isn't it? It makes him sound like he's operating on a whole other level from the rest of us.
So that's the big question, right? How did this machine actually work? What were the cogs and gears turning inside that amazing brain? Well, that's what this is all about. We're going to break down the Sherlock Holmes operating system piece by piece, using his own cases as our guide.
Okay, it all starts right here. Holmes's entire method, his almost magical ability to just know things, it's all built on one simple but profound difference. It's the one thing that separates him from everybody else, including his very smart friend, Dr. Watson.
To make his point, Holmes throws out this simple little challenge. He asks Watson about the staircase in their own apartment, a staircase Watson has walked up and down thousands of times. But really, it's a question for all of us, isn't it? How much do you actually notice about the world you walk through every single day?
And boom, there it is, the difference laid out perfectly. Watson sees the steps, of course he does. It's a passive thing, his brain just registers that they're there so he doesn't fall. But Holmes, he observes them. For him, it's an active process. He's counting, cataloging, storing the data. So Watson has no clue, but Holmes knows instantly. 17. There are 17 steps.
And that's the mic drop moment. That's the secret sauce, the absolute core of the Holmesian method. His whole philosophy is that the world is just packed with obvious things that nobody ever bothers to actually notice. Seeing is just letting light hit your eyes. Observing is an intentional act. It's the first real step toward genius.
All right, so you've gathered all this data through active observation. Now what? Well, that brings us to the second pillar of his genius, deduction. This is the art of connecting those tiny observed details to build a chain of logic, a chain so strong it leads to one and only one possible conclusion.
I mean, can you imagine Watson's face when Holmes just drops this on him out of the blue? It sounds like mind reading, like some kind of psychic trick. But for Holmes, it's just the end of a sentence that started with a simple observation. Let's break down exactly how he did it.
And here's the magic trick, revealed as just pure logic. First, he observes tiny little cuts on the inside of Watson's shoe, just a small detail. Then he infers the most likely cause. Someone was scraping off crusted mud, and they were really clumsy about it. And finally, from that, he can deduce the whole story. The mud means Watson was out in nasty weather, and the clumsy scraping means he's got a careless servant. See? No magic at all.
This right here is the golden rule. This governs his entire process. Data first, always. He never starts with a theory and then goes looking for clues to support it. No way. He gathers the facts, no matter how small, and he lets the facts build the theory for him. It's like the scientific method, but for solving mysteries.
So we have this perfect reasoning and observing machine. Flawless, right? Well, not quite. Because even the most precise instrument can run into something it just wasn't built to handle. And for Sherlock Holmes, that something was the human factor, perfectly embodied in one incredible person.
Watson paints this picture of Holmes as this cold, precise, unemotional mind, almost not human. But then, he introduces an exception, a single person who did what crime bosses and entire police forces couldn't. She outsmarted Sherlock Holmes. He doesn't say a woman, he says the woman. That's Irene Adler. And let's be super clear, this wasn't about love or romance or anything like that. Watson makes a point of saying so. It was about pure, unfiltered respect for the mind that beat his. She earned that title from him, the woman.
So here's how it all went down. The case seems simple. Get a photo back for a king. So Holmes comes up with this brilliant plan. He fakes a fire, knowing that a person's first instinct is to save what's most precious to them. And it works. She goes right for the photo's hiding spot. But here's the twist. She was smart enough to see through his plan, to anticipate his logic. Before he could come back to get the photo, she was gone. She beat him in his own game.
As Watson put it, the best plans of Mr. Sherlock Holmes were beaten by a woman's wit. That was it. The machine was defeated. Not by a bigger, stronger criminal, but by a clever human mind that could see his logic coming and turn it right back around on him. It was his one big, glorious failure.
And what really tells you everything is what happened next. The king offers Holmes this priceless emerald ring as a reward. But Holmes, he turns it down. He asked for just one thing instead, the photograph of Irene Adler that she'd left behind for him. He didn't want the treasure, he wanted the trophy, the memento of the woman who beat him.
So, what do we take away from all this? Why, more than 100 years later, are we still so fascinated by this character? I think it's because the principles he stands for are timeless, and they tell us a lot about logic, about legacy, and maybe even about ourselves.
At the end of the day, his legacy is huge. He championed the power of the mind over brute force. He was a pioneer of the kind of evidence-based thinking that's the backbone of forensic science today. He taught us that the truth is almost always hiding in the smallest details. He made being smart a superpower. And you know, his one big defeat, it showed us that the machine was also human.
Holmes said it best himself. The crimes, the mysteries, they were just the stage. The real show was always the method, the application of pure reason. His stories aren't just about catching the bad guys, they're about celebrating the power and beauty of logic itself.
And that really brings us back to the beginning. The biggest takeaway from Sherlock Holmes isn't about solving murders. It's a challenge to every one of us to engage with the world a little more actively, to look a little closer, to think a little deeper, to stop just seeing and start observing. So I'll leave you with this thought. What mysteries in your own life are just waiting to be solved if you only decide to pay a little more attention?